All right, so we're going to go over the deployment of our 300-foot hose load. This is 300 feet of 2-inch line, 1-inch smooth bore attached to it. This can be deployed as a one-person load, but it's designed to ideally be deployed with 2 people. So both sections, both loads will be shoulder loads. The nozzle load is 150 feet, and that'll be on my shoulder. The second load here is also 150 feet. That'll be on your backup person's shoulder, and that'll flake off from the top. So if you need to deploy with one person, you'll be dragging 150 feet, but ideally we want 2 people to deploy this. So I'll start by putting this on my shoulder. You can see the name of the game here is taking an extra second to make sure your backup person has that on his shoulder. We both have 150 feet on our shoulder, and we want to keep as much hose with us until we reach our objective. So as we start to walk, my hose stays with me, and Chris will start to flake hose off his section. So now Chris has deployed the majority of what he has on his shoulder. From this point, I can start deploying off the top of my shoulder, or if I wanted to lay this down and back drag it, I could do that now that we've walked 150 feet. All right, so we're going to reload our 300-foot line, 300 feet of 2-inch hose. Our nozzle section, just like all of our other Crosslays, should be on your right shoulder. So we're going to start with the non-nozzle section, or the back 150 foot. The key to the 300-foot load is that when you start with this section right here, you start with the male end on the same side as where the nozzle is. That way you make it 2 shoulder loads. So you start with your male, you'll kind of measure it up enough so it has enough to go right about here. And then we're just going to continue to flat load it from here. This will be 150 feet on this side. No need for any loops. It can be flush on both sides because these will be shoulder loads. You can see we already have one coupling attached. No need for any loops. You can see we just passed our 100 mark coupling, so now we're putting the last 50 foot on this side. Then we'll leave our female coupling, we'll just lay that on top. Alright, so now we're going to load our nozzle section of our 300-foot line. This will be 150 feet with the nozzle on it. So like every other Crosslay, we're going to start with the nozzle at the bottom with the male coupling. You want to make sure your bail doesn't go much past the tray so it doesn't hit the compartment. You can slide the bail off to the side like this so it lays a little flatter. And then we're just going to simply flat load 150 foot right on top. You can see I'll just leave my hose right about here so it doesn't stick out much. No need for any loops or anything since this will be a shoulder load. And then everything on the backside can just be flush. So we have our 50-foot coupling already attached. Now we're starting with starting with the 100-foot. Now we have our last coupling attached. Now we're adding our last 50 foot to this load. Pull a little, get the slack out just a little bit. So now we're at the end of our nozzle load. So we have the female coupling at the top of this. This will connect with the male coupling to the second load. That way when the nozzle 150 comes off, this will pay out like that. And then you have your section for your backup person to put on their shoulder and drag. The female coupling that's on the 150 foot, the rear load, the 150 rear, will then get attached to the truck. And then from there, once it gets deployed from the truck, everything will pay off the top of our rear 150 foot.